listening to the Nerdy Reads podcast, a hipster goblin media production.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Nerdy Reads podcast. You know, we're talking about some books today. We're talking about The Last One at the Wedding, wrote by Jason Recollect. And I don't think we need to intro him a whole lot. We've talked about him a lot on our show. But if you're new here and this is the first time that you have ever watched anything or listened to anything from us, we loved the book Hidden Pictures. It was one of our favorite books. We stayed up late at night reading that in the dark, scaring ourselves. We've been excited about this new one called The Last One at the Wedding. And so we're going to get right into it. Robert, what's it about?
Last One at the Wedding is about a man named Frank. He's shocked when his daughter Maggie calls him for the first time in 3 years. She's inviting him to her wedding in New Hampshire. Frank is stoked for his chance to finally patch things up, and he arrives to find that this wedding is at a private estate and that his daughter is marrying the son of a famous tech billionaire. Frank feels out of place but still attempts to reconnect with his daughter and get to know her new family, but his daughter's fiance Aiden is elusive and the locals are oddly hostile towards Aiden's family, so Frank dives into the mystery of the family his daughter is marrying into.
And so we are covering, so this book is broken into parts. And so we are doing the first two today. And then the next time you see us, it'll be the second two, and then we'll close it up with the last one. But we're talking about parts 1 and 2, and it is quite a mystery of where we are currently at the end of this one. But it does start with you're just kind of hearing from Frank, learning about who Frank is. And it is very much a blue-collared, hard-working Boston type of guy who drives for UPS, and his claim to fame really is that, you know, he has drove for UPS for 16 years or so or more. I don't even know. I can't remember how many.
I think it's probably 25 plus.
There you go. That sounds right. Without a scratch or a scrape on his truck. And so he's part of this like exclusive like UPS driving club. And so it sounds like he's the type of dude that is very good for his family, took care of them, wanted nothing but the best for them, worked hard for them. And there's this underlining thing where him and his daughter are, you know, at odds with one another. And you're kind of left wondering, well, what's happening with this? And we're still left wondering what's happening with that. I know that you even put in the Discord, like that's one of your big questions. And it felt like every time we were about to get an answer as to what the disturbance was in the force when it came to their relationship, that we were just left wondering more.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of like, he did a good job with layering suspense and getting you like hooked with these early things. Like, Frank never comes out and says what happened with him and Maggie 3 years ago. And anytime he tries to bring it up with her, she cuts him off like, hey, it's in the past. And then, you know, you're seeing the story through Frank's eye. He is the primary character. Every chapter is from his perspective. And he never once internalizes or tells you anything that happened. So I'm curious what would cause a father-daughter to split for 3 years and never speak again. But he's just excited to have a chance to get back in her life. And she's getting married to this dude named Aiden, whose dad invented this battery that's like the best battery for electric cars. I think he's like the Elon Musk-esque of this book. Yeah, is what I've garnered from him.
Yeah. And so his daughter reaches out to him and she's like, hey, Dad, what's up? You know, and he does what all of us would probably do. He's like, hey, what's up? I would love to tell you how sorry I am for us not talking for 3 years. And she's like, no, we're not talking about that. We're moving forward. Just so you know, I'm getting married. And then they want to meet at a pub or something in Boston. And then they flip it to where, because he's like, well, what's his dad do? You know, kind of thing. She goes, well, I think it's better if we just tell you, you know, kind of thing, or talk to you over dinner about it. And they invite him over. And he doesn't just go to like some crummy apartment that apparently she had. And what were those little bugs called that were apparently in her little apartment?
Oh my gosh, dude.
I know what they are.
Yeah, I can't remember what they called them in this book, but he referenced them quite a bit because she lived in like the depths of despair of a 1-bedroom apartment. had all these bugs in her shower, and it was gross. And he gets to Boston, and he's at this massive high rise that overlooks the city, and he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
I mean, bro, you're a father of a daughter, bro. Say one of your daughters calls you way down the line and like, "Dad, I'm getting married. Come meet my, your future son-in-law," and then you pull up to this high rise. What's in your mind, dude? I hope.
Yeah. Bingo. Yeah.
My man Frank did big bingo, dude. He's instantly suspicious.
Yeah, he's instantly like, what is happening here? And especially because she's like, well, he's an artist and he teaches one class a week and he lives in this high-rise building, And so come to find out, he's the son of a billionaire or whatever. I'm sure they have to be a billionaire.
Oh, yeah.
With how much, stuff they have going on in this. And, it's not the greatest of showings. Aiden, that's his name. Yeah. Aiden is a very, standoffish type of character. To be honest with you, there's really not much to like about Aiden so far.
Yeah, not so far.
Not much at all, really. And so they go to dinner. They eat the vegan dinner that's by a personal chef that they hired, some world-class chef, which, hey, word up.
I was happy for you, dude. My boy, the plant-based bread, had some vegan representation in a novel. I was like, dude.
Hey, bro, we're trying. They said they were trying the vegan diet, and I was like, well, there you go, bro. Sounds great. But which I found to be funny because then everybody's asking him if he tried the crab cakes, including his daughter who was trying to do the vegan thing. So it didn't last long. But
they did have chicken cutlets.
They had chicken cutlets. I mean, let's just that didn't last too long. But yeah, so they're doing the thing. They're having the dinner, and it's interesting, because she invites Frank back into her life because she wants him to be involved in all this stuff. And hey, I'm getting married. My life is changing. I love you. All these things are coming back. But at the end of the day, also, like, he doesn't see her or talk to her in between that dinner. Yeah. And so, they don't really talk at all in between, or they talk, but they don't really see each other. And even then he was like, I would call her and she wouldn't answer, or she would be quick with him on the phone. She's like, everything's going to be fine when we get to the camp, Dad. Everything's going to be great. Because the wedding was taking place at the lake home or whatever of Osprey Cove, which ends up being a pretty big deal coming up down the road here. But so even though the relationship seems like it's rekindling, it's not really rekindling at the rate that Frank wants it to rekindle. I don't think it's going to rekindle at the rate that I'd want it to rekindle either. If it was.
Yeah, for sure, dude. My dog just flipped out. I'm sorry. Did you mention that on the way out of this fancy high rise, like there were a couple things to note? Like Frank was kind of like, man, my boy Aiden, my future son-in-law, is putting the alcohol away, kicking him back. That was something. Aiden had like the black eye and claimed he got mugged, which is mysterious also. And then he uses their bathroom on the way out and finds a bag that he thinks was like a bag of checks or something taped under the toilet. Also raising more questions about Aiden's character. It's all there's a lot of things going on that we don't, they hook you and you want answers to this stuff for sure.
Frank tried to justify the money in the toilet.
He did.
He was, he's like, it's smart to keep cash. It's smart not to put all your money in the bank and to have some for, stowed away, but under the toilet, like what? Yeah. Like, and then he felt like it was more of him trying to hide it from his daughter because he's like, if you know Margaret at all, she is never going to go digging into a toilet, or whatever, which, is understandable. So yeah, dude, there's some shifty business going on here. Like I said, Aiden, there's not much to like about Aiden right now.
Nah,
man, we're still early on. Maybe he'll redeem, but
we're still in part one. One of my favorite. Everyone has a Tammy in their life. I think that's Frank's sister's name is Tammy. As soon as Tammy finds out who her niece is marrying, what's she do, bro? She's on the Facebook, the Google. She knows everything about this family that's out there.
Oh yeah.
Letting Frank know. I mean, everyone's got that person like, oh, who you trying to hook up? Is this him? And then they're on the profile stalking. Tammy's one of those. Yeah. But by far, one of my favorite scenes in part one is when Frank gets the phone call with Errol Gardner, which is Aiden's dad, the billionaire. He's like trying to get this phone call. He finally gets it. Errol has to call him. And the type of person Frank is, he's a prideful dude. He's like, look, I'm going to foot the alcohol bill at this to this billionaire who has all the money in the world. And Frank's like, dude, I'm doing it. I want to be, part of it and somehow. And it's a prideful thing. And pride can often be people's downfall. So I don't know if this is like a foreshadowing for Frank in some way. I can't tell, or if it's just more insight to who Frank is as a person.
It's interesting. Because at the end of the day, he's like, I want to be a part of this wedding. I want to do a thing. And I want to be able to invest in it and, be proud that I was a part of it because I love my daughter. And I understand that, at the end of the day, you want to be able to say like, hey, I contributed as a father to my kids doing this thing. And so, yeah, I thought it was an interesting conversation too. And the part to me that was interesting was how, nonchalant he was willing to throw his son under the bus.
Yeah.
Earl Gardner was like, Aiden's a bum, basically.
Yeah, he's like, art. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, he pretty much just like took all of the things that his son was investing in and was just like, yeah, I mean, he's kind of an idiot, is basically what he said. So,
right. And as we're getting towards the end of part 1 here, I remember reading this and I actually cringed while I was reading it because I was just like an outsider looking in. I was like, oh, my man Frank shot his shot with his barber. She cut his hair. He's like, oh, I'm going to ask her to my daughter's wedding. And she was like, man, Vicky wasn't picking up on his riz, as the Dylans of the world say. She shot this dude down hard. It hurt. And then my dude Frank's down bad for Vicky. He's like, I'll take her business card again. I've only got 5 of them on the fridge. I'm like, Frank, you maybe should have been asking questions sooner.
My man Frank, dude, he is down bad. He's down bad for his part.
Rizzler.
Dude, he is not. He's far from the
it was hurtful to read that scene.
She said she would go though.
Yeah.
She had so many clients though, that weekend. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. She had an excuse, dude. She had to work, bro.
Yeah. So as we get to the end, at the end of part 1 is like we're on a road trip. Frank, no, that's part 2. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. Frank gets a mysterious picture in the mail of Aiden and some woman by the lake, and words under the picture say, "Where is Don Taggart?" Which here we go. We have another mystery. Like, who is Don Taggart? What is she to Aiden? Frank naturally calls his daughter. He's like, yo, what's this? And she's like, Dad, it's nothing. Don went missing years ago. Aiden's been cleared of everything. No one knows if she's alive or dead. And they all assume Don's mother is just going after the Gardners for money. And I've read a lot of thrillers, dude. It's one of my favorite genres to read since we started doing this podcast. That girl dead. Aiden has something to do with it. If not Aiden, Maggie has something to do with it. Earl has something to do with it. Or they're all in on it together. What do you think, man? Don alive or dead?
Oh, she's gone. She gone.
Yeah.
She dead, dude. She dead. There's too much going on now, dude. Are we in? I feel like we're still trying to walk our way through the story before we get
part
into
one,
it.
Boy. That's
Don,
the end of it.
Don is the name.
Don.
Like Don. Yeah. She dead and gone. Don.
Yeah. There it is. What Dylan said.
Hey, Dylan. Thanks for your contribution, bro.
Hey,
we appreciate you, man. Dude, that part 1, what really drew me into it, you got like some really good central mysteries out of there about what happened with him and his daughter, what's Aiden got going on the backside of things, and who's Don Taggart, and what's going on with that. So good stuff. Good lead in to really grab you. And we had someone in the Discord, Super Reader, said she was going to read along with us, but her curiosity got the better of her and she killed this in a weekend. I can see that being easy to do.
Yeah, easily. I mean, because, we stopped on part 2 and easily could have gone on to the next chapter to see, well, okay, what's going down right now? Because, we got left on a cliffhanger, a pretty big one.
We did. Part 2 opened up with Frank kind of lamenting, like often as people do as parents, like you worry about mistakes you've made. You know, I've done that at time or 90, especially you're laying in bed at night, you can't sleep.
Yep.
And he lamented that he let his daughter leave a stuffed animals 2 hours behind at a rest stop and wouldn't go back and get it. Back and get it. She was mad at him. Bro, I do a lot of things for my kids. I don't know if I'm turning around and driving 2 hours for a stuffed animal. That's tough. I want to say
there is one I would though.
Here's the deal. I say this, bro. I'm extremely soft. So I probably would do it. And my wife would make fun of me the whole time for it. And also I caught a stray when Frank mentioned his daughter was laid up in her room depressed listening to Lana Del Rey songs. Caught a stray.
Yeah. I feel like Frank's going through it, you know, and we're seeing Frank go through it in a big way. You know, and you got to think of the emotional turmoil that this man's going through right now. You know, it's like you don't see your daughter for years, 3 years, really, right? Wasn't it 3 years? Yeah. 3 years that him and his daughter are not speaking. Then you go from that to, okay, she's getting married and now she's kind of back in your life, but not as much as you want her to be. And then she's telling you, hey, wait, I'll hang out with you now, but no. And then it's just a constant cancellation. Then you get this Don Taggart thing, only to find out that Don's potentially murdered or she's missing. At least she's missing right now. And your daughter's fiance is the one that's, you know, been accused of it by some people. And, you know, you got all these different things. And then you're showing up to being told like, hey, you know, you're really not needed at the wedding outside of, hey, walk her down the aisle and do a toast. And my man's just going through it, you know, and I feel like we're seeing a lot of, you know, a lot of him just bouncing around like from an emotional standpoint, trying to figure out how to process all of this. Because even he's popping off at his sister Tammy, who is my favorite character right now.
Yeah, Tammy.
I really like Frank too so far. Frank is a cool character. He's a fun guy. He's your guy. He's the dude that, you know, he would pull over and help you change a tire type of dude.
Oh, 100%. And his sister Tammy, they like meet up to go on the road trip to Osprey Cove. And Tammy has a foster child with her named Abigail. And Frank's like, she's not going. She's like, oh, yeah, she is. He's like, nah, I know DFS ain't going to let you take her across state lines. And she goes through like, hey, we got the emergency, blah, blah. And Frank's like, dude. And he's like, what's all that mayonnaise for? Tammy's got this tub of mayonnaise. She's like, oh, I got to put, you know, if we see any lice, I'm going to cover it mayonnaise. So here's this little girl, got lice, going to meet your daughter at the wedding. I don't know if lice is going to end up in Maggie's hair, but probably. I had to actually Google, dude. Like, do people actually put mayonnaise in their kids' hair for lice? Turns out they do.
Well, so yeah, I'm gonna share it. So my wife is a fanatic about lice. Like you should be, right? But I mean, if there's even an inkling that something like that's happening, like the whole tone of my home changes. Like it's not the same place that it once was. Okay. But I remember one time we had one of our kids had that. And I was like, oh, don't you do something with mayonnaise, which if you guys are listeners to the show, you know, I hate white condiments, bro. I won't even mess with that. But we did find, according to Maggie, you know, she's like, I've taken many a mayonnaise baths as a child. She goes, none of it works. So I don't know.
Have you guys ever taken the tomato sauce bath?
Was that for skunks, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I did that to one of my dogs who got sprayed.
Yeah,
I've had to do that before. But dude, we
Robert's like, I'm done talking about
move on.
Tomato sauce and mayonnaise. Come on, bro.
So Frank and Tammy and Abigail stop at this little town right outside of Osprey Cove, and Frank runs into a drunk who ends up being like the uncle of Don Taggart, and he's going off, right? And he's we learned that Dawn was pregnant when she went missing, allegedly, and went to aid him for financial support, claiming the kid was his. So there's another like kink in Frank's trauma of what he's going through. Mm-hmm. And it's all very weird. The drunk gets ran off, and the whole time this just puts more questions in Frank, like what is going on with this? And not to mention his daughter asked him to bring the picture that he was mailed because they want to turn it over to the lawyer as evidence. But outside
which I think is weird.
It is weird, dude. It's very weird. But they arrive at Osprey Cove. It's epic as you imagine a camp owned by billionaires would be. A security guard's like, yo, you got to sign this NDA to even get in. Automatically suspicious. Red flag. I'm signing 56 pages to pull into the property? Yeah. Ain't nobody got time to read 56 pages at the gate. Frank was trying,
bro. He got through page 1.
Yeah, he got through page 1, and Tammy's like, keep it moving. We ain't got all day. Yelling at him. And then another weird thing was they said you got to set your clocks forward 15 minutes. We operate on Gardner Standard Time here. And I'm like, what? To me, 15 minutes ahead of time just gives you an alibi for some crime that happens at real world time. You weren't there because everybody thinks you were here at this time because you're on some weird time. That's my time. I don't trust it.
Interesting. I didn't even pick up on that or even think about what you just said.
That's where my brain went, dude. I thought if you have everyone convinced that this is the time when the actual time's something else,
I just thought of it more as like a big flex. Like, hey, if you show up here and you want to do this thing, you're on our time, on our schedule, and we actually have our own time zone.
You know what, dude? It probably is a flex, and I read too much into stuff. I'm an overthinker. Ask my wife, dude. I do this all the time, but I'm probably overreach, but it just don't sit right with me.
I wouldn't sit right with it. It wouldn't. I don't think it would sit right with me either. If I pulled up and somebody's like, "Yeah, it's a requirement that you're 15 minutes early to everything," I'd be like, "Well, then what? Like, just make it 15 minutes earlier then." Instead of 4, make it 3:45. Don't be a jerk about it.
Exactly. Dude, I think it's cool all the houses and cottages on this little retreat are named after birds. So I'm like, my boys got plant-based vegan meals. We got a camp where everything's named after birds. It's like the classic. If Justin ever won the lottery, you wouldn't know, but there'd be signs.
Oh, there'd be signs.
Even got mayonnaise in kids' hair.
There it is. But dude, right after Frank gets there, he's excited to see his daughter and Aiden, and then they ditch him after 18 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's weird, dude.
Poor Frank, bro.
I feel bad for Frank, dude. He already feels out of place around all these billionaires, all these rich people, and then his daughter's just like makes him feel like he's a nuisance almost in a way. Yeah,
not just in a way.
Oh yeah,
I feel like it's full blown, bro.
It is full blown, dude. Nothing to do with them. Yeah. So Frank's stressing about having to give the toast, and he reaches out to Vicky, who shot him down again, and she says she's going to help him with it. So I think that's cool. She's going to help him. And then Abigail, our little foster traveler, just starts screaming, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dude, what's going on? Weird stuff. Nightmare fuel number of spiders in the kid's closet, dude.
But I've heard daddy long legs aren't technically spiders.
Yeah, I heard that too. But, you know, my man Frank's a savage.
Are they? Dylan, will you Google that?
Let me see.
Daddy long spider. My favorite part of that scene is Savage Frank looks over at Abigail. He's like, why are you worried about eggs when you have eggs in your hair?
Oh, dude. Dude. When Frank dropped that savage bomb, I was like, Frank, my man.
He let the intrusive thoughts win.
Frank, there are things you can think and then not say. That's one of those things. Yeah, this poor girl struggling with head lice probably already is down on herself, and then you just got to throw it in her face.
My man Frank was projecting, and he took it out on poor Abigail.
100%, bro. Dylan, did you find the answer?
Yeah, so apparently daddy long legs are not spiders, but they are still considered arachnids, which are similar to spiders. It says daddy long legs are in the order Opiliones. While spiders are in the family of Falcidae. Yeah. I don't even know. I can't pronounce these words.
There you go. Well, so what we learned today is that they're not spiders or spider adjacent. They're still arachnids. Yeah. They're creepy little balls with 8 legs. I don't know. I mean, close enough.
So we get more mystery stuff as Frank he goes and explores the grounds by himself because Maggie ditched him, and he sees Aiden go off into the woods with a girl who's not Maggie. What would any father do? Hold up, bro.
Yeah, bro.
See what
you
this
doing over there, bro?
Yeah, homie.
So then my man sneaks over there, bro. He starts he's eavesdropping.
He's eavesdropping. Dude, Aiden takes this girl in some little shack. That's not on the map of Osprey Cove. All of a sudden, we're all suspicious.
Yeah, bro.
Hold on, bro. What you doing?
We still suspicious.
Yeah, I'm big suspicious. Dude was threatening Dawn, or not Dawn. What's her name? Gwen. He's threatening Gwen. Yeah. And then Gwen's like getting a little close to Aiden, the dude who's about to be married, and she sees Frank in the window.
She says, somebody's here.
Yeah.
And they played that off, bro.
They played it off. And Frank kind of just let it slide a little bit too nonchalantly for my taste. But it was a little studio. That shed was Aiden's art studio, and he said it's his favorite spot out there on the cove, and it kind of looks like near where the photograph was taken of him and Don Taggart by the lake. Another thing to note is when he was talking about the shed, Frank's like, what's this little hatch? And Aiden's like, oh, this was built back, during the Cold War. This is a fallout shelter under there. No, Frank's like, yeah, that made sense. A lot of people had those back then. My brain went, okay, Don Taggart's dead or alive in that fallout shelter. That's where she is. She under that art studio. Calling it now.
Maybe so, do you?
Yeah, I have a feeling. I just have a feeling. So, I don't know, dude. It's sketchy catching your future son-in-law with a chick from college, threatening her in his little art studio. I don't know what Aiden's deal is, bro. We got to find out, though. We got more reading to go.
We do. And so I think that, we can, as we start kind of getting towards the end here, we see them do all that. He goes back. They are setting up for a wedding, but it's not really a wedding. It's more for dinner that night, right? And that's essentially what's happening. Frank is even trying to meet up with the missus.
Mrs.
Catherine? Yeah, Catherine. And she's a mystery.
Yeah, another one.
She's ill. Apparently, she's ill with migraines, and apparently the migraines are so bad that she is pretty much non-functional. Can't be out in public, doesn't want to be around people, sits in dark rooms all day. And, Frank's just like, well, can I just go say hi to her? Oh, no, she'd be mortified. There's just so much going on. That this Gardner family has so many secrets, bro, that it's yeah, dude.
If I was attorney trying to convince Frank that the Don Taggart photo was photoshopped. Like, they took it from oh, this is fake. Look at how pixelated it looks.
And he's like looking closely. And here's the other thing about that. What an odd conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry if I'm in a room and I have a conversation like the conversation Frank had with Gardner, Aiden, and then the attorney. I'm more suspicious than ever. Right. And Frank was definitely more suspicious because not only are they trying to really discredit Don's family for what they're feeling and thinking, they're like, oh, it's just all about money. It's all about money. They're so quick to come up with excuses. Like the minute they see the picture, Aiden jumps up. He goes, that photo's a fake. She was never here. She'd never been on this property. And, and both of the lawyer and his dad are both like, yeah, we know. Look at the blurry images. Look at all this. Look at that. And the way that they're doing it, and they're like, let's just put it all on the table, Frank. How you feeling? What are you thinking about it? And they have like this very professional answer for literally everything Frank's feeling. I'm like, man, all this is rehearsed. They know. They've done this 100 times now. I would be walking out of there going, all right, bro, they all killed her.
Yeah. Or, well, what about Aiden's alibi, dude?
Well, okay, so we're going to jump into that. Yeah, dude. So first off, let's go ahead and let's share that. Okay, so Frank finds out that the alibi that Aiden has was his daughter. She is the alibi. She is the witness. And the alibi is that he was at her crummy little apartment that, if you remember, we talked about a few minutes ago. Gross apartment. And Frank automatically is thinking, she hated that apartment. Anytime that she could be out of that apartment, she would. She could work from home. She had moments where they were giving her work from home days, and she decided not to take a work from home day because she would rather go into the office than sit in her crappy little apartment. And so he's like, what was she doing in her apartment all week? And they're like, come on, we're all grown ups here. You know what they were doing in that apartment all weekend. which is, he's like, okay, well, I mean, that makes sense. I was 25 before. He's like, I can imagine rolling around on a king size bed in a hotel room for a weekend, but not that apartment. So he's already suspicious.
Yeah.
Because it's the apartment and she is the alibi. And she's like, no, I trust 100%. She's in on something too, bro.
Yeah. That did right there made me raise questions about, Margaret.
I understand the young and in love stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're young, you're in your 20s, you're in love. You let a lot of things slide. And you may even put yourself out there and you do weird things for people. But this being like, no, I'll be your alibi and say that you were at my house whenever this girl went missing. So that way you're not accused of murdering this poor innocent girl.
Right.
Even his story about how he met Dawn was weird. Like she changed his tire for him because he couldn't even change his own tire. And then he took her out to dinner and all she did was show him TikTok videos. Yeah. Like about her favorite TikTokers and stuff. Like, what? Like all this is weird.
It's all weird, bro. And that just gives Maggie's now involved in my head about what really happened to Dawn. And bro, even Frank, I don't know, maybe being on Osprey Cove and drinking the water makes you start doing random things. Because my man's down there at the rehearsal dinner, I think is what it was. And he's trying to meet people and talk to people. And someone's telling him about Catherine. And like, look, she's in the window right now. And you see her in the window. And Frank's like, Ma, I'm going to go meet her. And he just takes it upon himself to walk into this lodge.
Well, that one girl did influence him, though, too.
He was influenced. But, bro, the whole scene was weird to me. Like, I ain't walking in someone's lodge and trying to enter the room of some dude's wife. Like, oh, I've got family permission to Bluetooth all these doors. And he tries the handle. Like, come on, Frank. Yeah. What are we doing here, bro? But obviously he doesn't get in the room. And then he meets Gwen in the house, in the lodge, and Gwen was that college friend in the studio, and then they had a cryptic encounter, and Gwen's telling Frank, like, dude, you have no idea what's going on. Fake sick tomorrow so you don't have to go on the hike, and I'll tell you everything. So that's a pretty big, like, we're getting to a cliffhanger here. Like, hold on, bro, I want to know what Gwen knows, or what Gwen's gonna lie and tell me. But yeah, I'm excited to find out.
That's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
All right, bro. You got any predictions?
Yeah, bro, I got predictions. Maggie killed Don Taggart.
I think
it's all Maggie, bro. I think Maggie's involved deep somehow. I don't know how, but I feel like it all centers around his daughter.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to come a time where they can set this up to pin it on Frank to give Frank the option to go down for his kid type deal.
That's an interesting take. I'm going to say that I think she's involved in some way. I don't know if she is the person that killed Dawn because, Gwen is saying, like, if you want what's best for you and your daughter, you need to get her and get out of here.
That's true.
And so she's like, because he's like, is this about Don Taggart? And she goes, no, this is way bigger than Don. And so, I think she knows what's happening. I think that his daughter knows. I don't think she killed her. Maybe. I mean, anything's possible. We've gotten so many loophole or so many like wrenches thrown into all of this that it's a big who knows. But yeah, dude, I think that she's definitely involved. He's going to be disappointed in what his daughter has become. Yeah, at the end of this.
I like your prediction. I also think Gwen could be telling him that because she wants Aiden all to herself. Like Aiden wasn't at that rehearsal dinner at all, which was weird. Yeah. And I don't know, dude. They claimed he was with his mom the whole time, so she wouldn't feel left out, which could be maybe Aiden's a good guy. I don't know.
Aiden's not a good guy, bro.
Nah, he's not. 100%.
That's my 100% prediction. Aiden sucks.
That's a good prediction. I'm stoked to jump into part 3 and 4, dude.
Bro, you got some last 3 words for this one?
Yeah. I don't have last 3 words for this one. I wasn't prepared, so instead I'll just say
Aiden's the worst.
Aiden's the worst. Yeah, dude. I don't trust Errol.
No trust Earl. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, don't trust Errol.
Don't trust Errol.
That dude tried was like, "Hey Frank, what kind of women are you into? I'll hand deliver to you for the weekend." I was like, "What?"
Yeah, they're working really hard to get Frank Statowski to be their boy.
Yeah,
there's something odd happening here. All right, y'all. So that is the first 2 parts of The Last One at the Wedding. Stay tuned. Next week, you'll get to see the next 2. If you are, catching this late, you can go catch them right now. So thanks for checking us out here at the Nerdy Reads Podcast. We enjoy a good story. Believe your story matters. So be good to each other. Stay nerdy, our friends. Like and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. We'll see you guys next time.